my god, hello. Let me make sure this is working this time. It's kind of early for everyone else to check. I'd be surprised if like anybody was on right now, to be honest. Well, I guess it's later over there, but all my nighttime folks, you're probably sleeping. Like after Tommy pulled 48 hours, I don't know. I don't know. Hold on. Okay, yay. I think it works. Well, today I wanted to make a quick stream because yesterday was like really hard. We were out all day, but today we are here. Whoa, that's zoomed in. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah. And this place is pretty cool because they have actual dinosaurs. It's like a park, so you don't actually have to pay to come here, but you do have to pay to go in there where they have like a more in-depth museum experience, I guess. But over here they're having some kind of like explanation by the tar pit, so let's go see what she's saying. But it's a really nice day. It's my last day here, and even though every muscle in my body hurts from walking, I figured I had to push myself no matter what to come here because memories. But yeah, this is not my first time here, but it's my first time going inside of the building because they were closed the last time I came. Oh, it's on the schedule.
Permission to a paleontologist from UC Berkeley named Dr. John Merriam. So Merriam and his team were the first to carry out official excavations here at the La Brea tar pit, or Rancho La Brea, what it was called at the time, and the first to identify some of the iconic animals that we associate the tar pits with. However, Merriam was sending these fossils back to UC Berkeley, to other institutions across the U.S., and Hancock didn't really like that. He was worried that the fossils were going to end up scattered all over the place. He wanted them to stay here in LA. He felt it was important to the city's heritage. And so in 1913, he granted exclusive rights to the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, History, and Science, now known as the Natural History Museum, Arts History Museum, that's about 7 miles away, to come excavate for 2 years, as long as they kept the fossils here in the city. And so between 1913 and 1915, some of the most well-documented excavations of the time took place. They dug 96 pits throughout this entire region, and they found over 750,000 specimens. Specimens being individual fossils. So at our next stop, we're going to talk about what these early excavations looked like and why the animals were getting stuck here. But before we go, does anyone have any questions so far? Yeah, so the question is the asphalt on top of the layer of water? Yes, so that like murky kind of thick substance that you see layered on the water is the asphalt, but it is coming from underground, which is what the bubbles are. So the bubbles are a result of methane and hydrogen sulfide gases, which is why the park occasionally smells like volcanics. But you'll see that here in the water and the green neon cones around the park. Those are indicators of active asphalt leaks. They're there for our safety. But you can also see that on a very active seed, you can see bubbles coming up to the surface. Other questions?
you see them?
Oh, the scene
The
is inaccurate.
bubbles, that's
so
the
we're actually going
gas
to talk
coming
about
out of the
entrapment at our
tar.
next stop in more detail. Yeah, I
See
don't want to
it?
give all of that information. Yeah, good question. Is anything able to survive in here? No. Bacteria does live in asphalt. There is a species of asphalt fly that can live in the asphalt and digest the asphalt, and they have no ill effect as a result. We're trying to do more research on that species. But as far as the flies and bacteria, there's no other specimens that live in this lake pit. The lake pit is around 17 feet. Yeah. Any other questions? Does it get hot? Yeah, the temperature of the
Oh my god.
asphalt,
These
takes
people are
about
leaf blowing and like I can barely hear.
one day. In the
But
summer,
yeah, so
the
this is
asphalt
like
is
water.
light, it's sunnier,
Okay, no. This is like water, and then on top you can see the asphalt like coming out of the earth. So you can just like come here for free and see this. It's pretty cool. So this is an active dig site for fossils. There are paleontologists. Is it paleontologists? Archaeologists, right? Archaeologists that are here excavating stuff out of the tar, and they keep finding mammoths and things like that. I am quite tired. It is like 10 now, 10:30. This place opens at 9:30. So yeah, it's a public park.
The reflection of the
Also, yeah, asphalt is tar, basically. Look, so yeah, there's the tar that's behind, but there's also tar that comes out of the earth, like over there. Like that green cone, it has tar just coming out of the earth. And you can go poke it with a stick and your stick gets stuck. And it's like what you would imagine. You know what they pave the roads with? The black stuff they pave the roads with? It's that. A lot of people walk their dogs here. I would not let my dog run free though, even though you should never do that, but especially here, because if they get in the tar, like it's really hard to get off, and it is cancerous, so you don't want that on your skin. Look, see, there's another cone over there.
It depends what you do in archaeology.
We'll go poke it with a stick. See, they're building that.
Animal and plant fossils, as well as geology. So very similar work.
right, biology response.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then
And I think if you came here for like an experience, you could spend about 2 hours here, probably.
yeah.
Thank
everyone on our
you.
education team has a different academic
I think it's from Vitali,
but we also get a lot of training here.
one of those Instagram brands that actually ended up being pretty good.
Oh, okay. What kind of geology?
Rock, pegmatites.
Okay.
Oh, look at this. It has bark and then it's like smooth
We have a geologist
branches.
here who does work on our current research project. Yeah, it's really cool to kind of understand how these deposits are formed, how water and yeah, very exciting stuff.
And then the pits are numbered.
Folks, this is going to be our second stop, so please feel free to gather around underneath the shade or on the sidewalk, wherever you feel most comfortable. I will wait for the group to catch up before getting started once again.
Vicious compared to humans.
Alrighty folks, seems like most of the group is here, so we'll get started. Welcome to our multi-pits, also known as pits 3, 4, 61 and 67, whenever excavators were digging a pit, those pits that they built or that they dug between 1913 and 1915, they assigned them a number, pits 1 through 96. They used to think there was 61 through 67, but as they kept digging, they realized, oh, this is actually just one very large fossil deposit, and so they renamed it 61/67, giving it the name that it has today. So this is a remnant of those 1913 to 1915 fossil excavations that resulted in a boom in fossil finds that expanded our knowledge of Ice Age Los Angeles. And I'd like to show you what those early excavations looked like. So here are images of those early 1900 excavations. What do you notice about these fossil sites, these working conditions? No masks, no PPE. You don't think it's OSHA approved? No, right?
Not yeah.
No buildings, yeah. What kind of tools do you see? Mining tools, hand tools, right? Pickaxe, shovel. Now lastly, is this a wet or dry environment?
It's dry.
It's very dry, right? They're not waist deep in asphalt, as one would assume they might be. So as we mentioned over at the lake pit, those bubbles that come up are gases like methane and hydrogen sulfide. So when the asphalt seeps up, these lighter elements will evaporate off, and then leaves and twigs will fall in, they'll get stuck, and unfortunately animals will fall in and they will unfortunately die. And then time will pass and sediments will bury them, and then more asphalt will seep up to the surface. And if you keep repeating this process for tens of thousands of years, you'll end up with what's typically a cone-shaped deposit underneath the surface that looks like this. Now sometimes these deposits are cut off from their asphalt source, and they can become buried as deep as 40 feet. Around 40 feet is where we stop seeing asphaltic, Pleistocene, so Ice Age, and terrestrial land fossils. There are still fossils below that. They just tend to be marine fossils, just as important, just not what we focus on here. So they get sent over to the Natural History Museum. But this is essentially what those excavators were working through, is these deposits that are mostly composed of hardened asphalt, inorganic sediments, and of course, fossils. Typically, a fossil deposit looks like this, a jumble of bones. And this happens for a few reasons. Those gases that I mentioned, as they come up, they create a churning effect in the seep. So everything that's stuck inside gets jumbled up together. So it's not like your classic geology or paleontology. The further you go, the older things are. You might have something older above something younger. And then there's predation, as animals are coming in and they are scavenging on carcasses left behind. They leave behind incomplete skeletons to fossilize. And this is why it's so rare to find a complete or nearly complete specimen like Zed the Columbian mammoth, making him a very special discovery. So this is what the excavators were working through, although occasionally they did have to scoop active seepage out and place it into buckets. Now this area was partially filled back in, unlike the lake pit, but this entire site that is blocked by a fence is an active seep site. You'll notice to the right and left-hand corners here, there are piles of leaves and twigs. Those are indicators of asphalt sites. Towards the back, there's a very large seep site that is partially covered by leaves. And then here behind this gate, there's another seep with a PVC pipe sticking out in the front that helps release gases that seep up to the surface. So this site, what it looks like today, can help us understand why animals were getting stuck here during the Ice Age, because it doesn't look that different from when saber-toothed cats, mastodons, and mammoths inhabited this land. And we do find an interesting trend in our collection record. Typically in paleontology, you find more herbivores than you do carnivores, but here at the tar pits, we find about 9 carnivores for every 1 herbivore. Does anyone want to take a guess as to why that might be? Because the carnivores were trying to go after their prey that was inside the tar. Absolutely. All it took was one herbivore, one prey animal to get stuck in an asphalt seep to attract a multitude of carnivores, especially if these carnivores were social animals and traveling in packs. So we like to call the tar pits, or the asphalt seeps, carnivore or predator traps. And it wasn't like quicksand where they started to dramatically sink in like what we see displayed over at the lake pit. It was more like flies getting stuck on flypaper. So oftentimes folks will ask, well then how did an animal like a mammoth, a sloth, or a mastodon that's very large get stuck in just a few inches of asphalt? Or did anyone here try the tar pole activity inside the museum? Very nice, a few of you did. Wonderful. For those of you who didn't, definitely try it when you go back into the museum. It's going to be to the left of the entrance. But for those of you who did try the tar pole activity, can you tell me which one was more difficult to remove? Did I hear one? The left-hand side, yes. The left-hand lever is the larger lever, and it's more difficult to remove. And the reason it's more difficult to remove is because it has more surface area. So just like that lever that has more surface area, animals that are larger and have more surface area on their bodies have more points of attachment for that asphalt to latch itself onto, making it more difficult for them to escape once they have become stuck. So if you look at this site right now, you'll notice that it's quite barren, right? There's nothing really exciting happening at this site. If this area was not fenced off, if you didn't know that you were at the La Brea tar pits, would you all be able to tell me, hey Lonnie, do not go in there, because if you do, you're going to get stuck and we're going to have to call the fire department. It's very dangerous. No, I see a lot of head nods. No, right? If it's a little bit mysterious to us that it's dangerous, it was definitely mysterious to the animals that lived here 10 to 55,000 years ago. So I'm going to play out a scenario for you. Let's say it's 30,000 years ago. Let's say it's the Ice Age. And let's say it just rained. We do know the climate here was around 10 degrees cooler and wetter on average than it is today. And because it just rained, there's a pool of water concealing that depressed asphalt seat back there, just like it happens today. In fact, you can see some leftover water on the top of the surface there. And let's say those two Harlan ground sloths back there, those statues, they've come to life. It's like night at the museum, except it's daytime and it's the Ice Age. And so one of them is feeling quite thirsty. And he sees a nice pool of water and he starts meandering over. He takes a sip, he's happy, he's no longer thirsty, he decides he wants to leave, but he can't leave. Why can't he leave? He's stuck, right? He didn't realize that there's a large pool of asphalt underneath that puddle of water. So now that he's stuck, he starts to panic. What do animals do when they panic?
Noise.
They thrash around, right? They move. They start wailing out. But in all that thrashing and all that movement and struggle, this sloth falls over on its side. It's now completely mired in asphalt. There's no way it's going to escape. So now it starts wailing out for help. There's another sloth in the area, and he's like, hey, buddy, please come help me. I don't want to become a part of the La Brea tar pit's rich fossil history. So that sloth, he wants to help his buddy out, and he starts meandering over, but oh no, he gets distracted. There are some grasses and another asphalt seat, and he starts grazing at those grasses. What's going to happen to that sloth? He's going to get stuck too, right? Same thing's going to happen. He gets stuck, he panics, he falls over. Now you have two sloths mired in asphalt. There's no way they're going to get out. They're both wailing out for help. They just ring the dinner bell for nearby carnivores. And some carnivores, like a pack of coyotes, a pack of direwolves, social animals, right? Which again explains why we have so many carnivores in our collection. And even some saber-toothed cats, they come prowling on over. They see a nice easy meal and they're not worried as to why their food isn't running away. So they pounce on the sloths, mired in asphalt. What's going to happen to the carnivores? They're going to get stuck too, right? Maybe a few of them get lucky and they snatch a limb and they run off, but most of them get stuck. Now, eventually, and unfortunately, these animals end up dying of dehydration and starvation. That is what had to happen for us to find the wealth of fossils that we find here today. So now you have this mass that's going to attract some scavengers, perhaps maybe a golden eagle is flying in the area. Golden eagles are one of the most commonly found bird fossils that we find here at the tar pit, with over 960 fossils in our collections. So golden eagle, other scavengers are in the area. They see this food that's nearby and they come crawling on over. Golden eagle swarming the skies. He swoops on down. What's going to happen to the eagle? Eagle gets stuck. They didn't have Dawn dish soap back then. And so then some decomposers, like maybe some beetles, are going to come crawling on over, and you've picked up a pattern, right? You know what's going to happen to them at this point. They get stuck too. And so this entire dramatic event is what we call an entrapment event. And these are some pretty large fossils that I mentioned, right? Saber-toothed cat, direwolf, coyote, sloths. And as you saw in those images, they were using some pretty large hand tools to excavate these fossils out of the ground. Fossils or tools that were not going to be so delicate on the fossils. Not only did they use large hand tools, but they also used dynamite. I know. Now, I promise you, they weren't trying to blow up the fossils. They were just trying to blow up that upper layer of sediment to get to the fossils underneath the surface. But in doing so, they were missing out on something very important and also very small. The microfossils that I mentioned over at the fossil lab. So now I'm going to do a pop quiz. Can you all tell me what 4 categories of microfossils we have that I mentioned at the lab? Shells, yes. Plants. 2 more. Bones, yes. One last one. Insects, yes. Bones, plants, insects, and shells. Good job, everyone. These are the 4 categories of microfossils we have, and they're very, very important because they help piece together the entire biodiversity and ecosystem of Ice Age Los Angeles. The megafauna is still important, but just like today, these animals were seasonally migrating through, looking for resources like food and water. Where the small stationary stuff is going to tell us a lot more. If we find small species of freshwater snails and clams and fish, then we can say, oh, there must have been bodies of water here, at least seasonally, to support the environmental needs of those species. If we find branches and seeds of coastal redwood trees, juniper trees, cypress trees, which we do, then we can say, oh, it must have been cooler and wetter here than it is today, because those trees are still around, right? But you have to drive further up north, Northern California, to where there are coastal redwoods, right? Because you can't see redwoods here in Southern California because the environment is no longer suitable for them. So when we combine our overall fossil collection of megafauna and microfossils, we have over 600 species of plants and animals represented in our collection. Who wants to take a guess as to what percentage of those species are still around today? 60. That's a good starting guess. It's a little bit higher. What did I hear?
70.
70. Okay, we're getting warmer. Still higher. 80. We're getting warmer. Higher.
95.
90, 95. It's between 90 and 95. 94, 93. Oh, just a little lower. 92. You all win a free excavator tour. 92% of our species are still around today. And this number often comes as a surprise to many. Because when we think of fossils, we tend to think of extinct animals like dinosaurs. But they went extinct millions of years ago, and our oldest fossils are only as old as 55,000 years ago. So in terms of geologic time, the Ice Age happened just last weekend. And because so much of our collection is still around, it means that we have a lot of information on these living species that can help us answer questions about the past, like why was this area so hospitable for Ice Age megafauna? What was the environment like, and how was the climate changing? So in 1969, our researchers decided to switch gears and focus on the microfossils more so than the megafauna, and they reopened Pit 91, which is down this side of our path and to the right, because they wanted to look at an already partially excavated site to look for microfossils using modern excavation techniques like grid systems, smaller tools, and chemicals that were not as harsh. Back then they were boiling kerosene to get the asphalt off of the fossils. Now they use something much more gentle in the lab. It's called Novec. It's kind of like acetone. It evaporates very quickly. In fact, they also use acetone during the repair process. But it is a degreaser. It will help re-liquefy the asphalt so that then they can chip at it or brush it away using much smaller tools. And then most recently, we came upon our accidental discovery, Project 23, which is just up ahead. That's going to be our next stop and our last stop. But before we make our way to Project 23, does anyone have any questions so far?
Why the switch in focus from the big stuff to the small stuff?
Why the switch in focus from the big stuff to the small stuff? Because the microfossils, again, have kind of helped piece together the environment, the climate, and we can really get an idea of what plants were here, what these animals were eating. So it's like really piecing together the climate, the environment, and that ecosystem, whereas the megafauna, we know what animals were here, but it's not exactly telling us what the area looked like. Yeah. Good question. We're actually going to be renovating the museum. It's called Tar Pits Reimagined. If you Google that, I'm sure many articles will come up about it. But when we remodel the museum, there's going to be a large focus on the microfossils and the current research that we're doing. Yeah, so you'll still have the cool, big, exciting animals, but we'll also have some exciting information about modern research. Yeah.
Do they know how deep the asphalt was when the animals were getting stuck?
So we know how deep the asphalt was when the animals were getting stuck. Unfortunately, that can vary. It can be as little as a few inches. It can be maybe 3 to 5 feet deep. It just really varies with, especially with what we see today with these asphalt seeps. Like this seep here is maybe 2 to 3 feet deep. You have other asphaltic seeps throughout the park, those green neon cones again, that are only a few inches deep. As those seeps expand, we create a low black fence around, like you see here. Sometimes the seep will go away on its own, or sometimes, we have to keep building and expanding that fence to keep folks and wildlife safe. But it really varies. It could have been a few inches, or it could have been a few feet. But it wasn't like the lake pit where they were sinking in like quicksand. That's a common misconception. It's not that they were sinking in, it's that they got stuck, they struggled, and then they fell over. Yeah.
Are there any other seeps outside of this area, like in the city?
Yeah. Are there any other seeps outside of this area, like in the city? Absolutely. So that oil field that I showed you all at the lake pit, it's about 4 to 6 miles wide. Seepage comes up throughout that entire area. In fact, when you go to the beach and you see that tar material that you see on the rocks, that is the same substance. It's just coming from a different oil field, different source. So they do definitely pop up around the city. Our parking lot has a few parking spaces that have been compromised. Typically what our staff will do is they will put sand or cat litter, some sort of absorbent material to keep it from spreading out. But yes, seeps do pop up throughout the city in people's backyards, but that's something that they have to call the city to deal with, not our museum. Yeah, good question. If the animals don't fall over, is there any way for them to get out? It's possible if it was a small animal that has less surface area on their body. Again, these animals that had large surface area, it was more difficult for them to escape, whereas a smaller animal, less surface area, might have an easier time getting out, especially if the seep is not very deep, maybe if it's just a few inches like this. Typically, animals like a bird, let's say, a bird has very delicate skin. So if a bird gets stuck, even though they're small and they have less surface area than a larger animal, if they're struggling, that asphalt is perhaps going to cause a tear on their skin, which is only going to make it more difficult for them to escape. So it is possible. Unfortunately, we do still have modern day entrapment take place here at the museum. It's not very common, thankfully, to the safety measures that we have in place. But when it does happen, we always have to take the safety of our staff into account, whether it's safe for them to go in and retrieve the animal. It's something that we always have to take into consideration. But entrapment does happen, and sometimes those animals are able to be removed and they are sent to a local rehab or shelter that can help care for them and the wounds that they might have. Yeah, typically it's smaller animals like birds, lizards, or small mammals.
Do you ever get reports of fossils from other seepages around the city?
Do we ever get reports of fossils from other seeps around the city? So typically if it's an active seep site, like what you see here, this black gooey material, we're not getting reports of fossils there. It's typically with a construction site that's digging into the ground and they hit an old dry deposit that has fossils. And so that's actually how we found Project 23. So there are fossils being found around the city with construction sites. Thankfully, California has paleo monitors on site. These are people who work at construction sites. They look for fossils, and if they find fossils, they have to deal with them before the construction project can continue. Yeah, so it's actually a pain for companies to find fossils because, it extends their deadline and they, have to increase their budget. But it's exciting for us. Yeah. If the asphalt is resurfacing. Why is the reason behind that? So it's essentially the oil field is still there, 1,000 feet below us. And again, those cracks and fissures that are in the Earth's crust that are caused by seismic activity, that is how it's seeping up to the surface. Unfortunately, we can't block those paths, right? So the seepage is just going to continue. And again, we see these green neon cones here. There's one right behind the group here that's kind of mired in asphalt. Sometimes folks will ask, oh, are the seeps kind of exploding in nature? That's not quite the case. Folks are just creative, and they'll put sticks in there and kind of run on the cones or on the trees. But yeah, essentially, as long as that oil field is there, and there is a resource of oil, it's going to keep seeping up through that path of least resistance. Alrighty, my friends, we will move on to Product 23. So
we're gonna go the long way. They didn't really, like, it wasn't like one of those, but I do get a lot of messages like that. It's like, send me your information and we'll give you, well, they don't even, that's the thing, is like, they don't even offer me stuff. They'll be like, oh, if you buy something and model it for us, we'll reward you with a discount. Like, no. Doesn't work like that. Oh, good. Did you learn? We're gonna poke the asphalt with the sticks, and don't you worry, that's the most fun part of being here.
So it's the heat and pressure that's converting them, converting that organic matter into oil. Alrighty, my friends, once again, please feel free to gather around here underneath this awning for some shade. In fact, if I can actually have the group kind of form a more circular kind of area here, I'd like for folks to maybe be able to see into Project 23 a little bit more. Awesome. Alrighty, my friends, welcome to Project 23, our current excavation site. Now, right off the bat, you can see that this site looks quite different from our last stop. What do you notice here? Crates. Yes, there's crates all over this site here, and it's also above ground. So as I mentioned, this was an accidental discovery. Our friends and neighbors over at LACMA, the Los Angeles County Museum of Arts, decided that they wanted to build an underground parking structure. LA's hottest commodity, right? Parking. So right over there where that green fence is, there's a banner, and that banner actually reads LACMA parking. But that is where that where that parking lot is located. Construction began in 2006, and what do you think they found when they started digging next to the world's largest urban Ice Age fossil excavation site? Fossils! Yes, they found tons and tons of fossils. They found 16 fossil deposits. That's a lot of fossils, and as we know, it takes a long time to excavate these fossils from the ground. So LACMA was worried that this discovery was going to put an end to their parking lot project. So what they did is they hired a tree moving company. Tree moving companies will box living tree roots and transport the tree to wherever it's going. But for the sake of our fossil deposits, they dug around the walls of each deposit, they laid down these wooden sheets, wrapped them in metal slats, and then craned them over to our location. 13 of those 16 deposits were boxed and brought over. One of them was Zed, the Colombian mammoth. He was so special, they just put a plaster jacket on him and brought him straight over to the museum. But the process of boxing these deposits took 2 years. By then, it was 2008, and the museum had around 5 years worth of funding at the time to fully excavate all of Project 23. But here we are 16 years later, and we fully excavated 9 of those 23 boxes. We're currently working on box 2, which is the box directly behind the black fence. The fossils in box 2 radiocarbon date to a time period between 34 and 51,000 years ago, and it's a pretty diverse box. We find fossils from coyotes, dire wolves, dung beetles, which are a new discovery for Project 23. We have found a very well-preserved skull of a red-tailed hawk. Red-tailed hawks still fly over Los Angeles today. And we find dermal ossicles. Dermal ossicles are tiny bony nodules that were embedded in the skins of Harlan's ground sloths to help protect them from Ice Age predators. And we've also found a baby ground sloth in box 2. So pretty diverse box. Of course, we're no longer using dynamite. We're using much smaller tools because, again, we're focusing on microfossils a bit more than we are on megafauna. But a box, like box 2, around that size, can take 2 to 3 years to fully excavate. And a box like box 5A can take around 5 years to excavate. Just depends on how they choose to excavate it, whether it's horizontal or vertical, can impact how many folks can fit in a box at any given time. Box 5A is a little bit larger, but it has multiple parts to it. You'll notice here that there are boxes labeled 7C, 13C back there. These correspond to the deposits in which they came from, because when they were craning these deposits to our location, the largest of those boxes weighed over 123,000 pounds. And that was way too heavy, so they decided to break them up into multiple boxes, into 23 boxes, which is why it's called Project 23. But again, we're focusing on the microfossils now. We're being quite careful using smaller tools, so it's going to take quite long, right, to excavate all of Project 23. Not only do we have the rest of Project 23 to excavate, but there's a construction site happening in front of you over by LACMA. They are also continuing to expand their museum, and they have found 37 boxes worth of fossils. They're not as large as what we have here, but that's still a ton of fossils, so we like to joke that we have job security here. So at this point, folks will ask, well, why keep looking? You already have millions of fossils in your collection. Why more? Well, the more fossils that we have, the less gaps we have in the past, and the more connections we have to our future. I mentioned earlier that we know the climate here was around 10 degrees cooler and wetter on average than it is today. So we can understand climate of the past, then we can hopefully understand and predict it for the future. So our scientists are looking at these climate patterns, not just here, but at other sites around the world. And by doing so, they can help make informed decisions about climate change here in Los Angeles. And that can include collaborating with city landscapers and land managers, informing them as to what plant species can be planted throughout Southern California that are better suited for warmer climates. If we know what plants survive the warming of the Ice Age, then we can create stable plant communities here in the city. And then the animals that rely on those communities are stable, and that has a domino effect along the entire food chain. So there's a big push by conservationists to use the information provided by paleobotany to help maintain the biodiversity of our ecosystems. So we are an active research site. We have a variety of research projects happening here at the tar pits, and climate change is a really big part of that research. But we have other research sites. I mentioned the asphalt flies earlier at the lake pit. Again, those are a species of fly that can live in the asphalt. They digest the asphalt, and there seems to be no ill effect to them as a result. There's only about 8 published scientific papers on them, so we're trying to add to their research. The dung beetles that I mentioned that we found in box 2, those were a recent discovery, and our researchers acquired permits to collect bison poop and place dung beetle traps here in the park because they wanted to see what dung beetles are here today compared to what we're finding in our fossil record. So very exciting. Nothing has been published yet, but exciting research that's happening. We also look at dental microwear. That looks at microscopic wear and tear on the teeth of animals that can help us reconstruct their diets. Something exciting that came out of this study is that we learned that coyotes were hypercarnivores during the Ice Age. They were also larger. And the fact that they got smaller and became opportunistic, right? Think of a coyote today. They live just about anywhere and they eat just about anything. Is how they survived the changes that were happening at the end of the Ice Age. So we like to call coyotes Ice Age survivors, right? They're still here today. In fact, I don't live very far from here, and I see coyotes when I'm walking my dog. So we have a variety of research projects happening here at the tar pits, so much so that we have been named as one of the first 100 sites on the first 100 lists of geological heritage sites, which is a mouthful, but it's essentially the geological equivalent of UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. And we're the only ones on that list that are in the middle of a city. There's about 7 or 8 sites in North America. These sites include sites like Yellowstone, Grand Canyon, sites that are more remote, but we are the only ones on that list that are in this middle of an urban area that allows folks to come visit us here daily at our museum. So of course, we've been working here for over 100 years. We continue to work here today, and we will continue to work here for many future generations. But we would not be able to do all of this work if it weren't for our curious guests such as yourselves, because your admission tickets do help fund the research that's taking place before you. So with that, my friends, I'd like to thank you all for coming to the tar pits today and coming along this excavator tour. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned a thing or two. Before I let you go and answer any questions you might have, I want to highly recommend you check out Pit 91. Again, that is down this dirt path or around the sidewalk path. And then to the right, they'll take you straight into Pit 91. There is liquid asphalt with real fossils sticking out from the surface and a lot of signage for you to read about it. It's really exciting. It allows you to see how excavation happens around an active seepage site. And then behind you, there's Pit 9 and Pit 13. You can read more about what specific species were found at those specific sites. But once again, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of the museum. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes for anyone who has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we obviously have to go to all the pits now. What did you think? Isn't that cool? I mean, she said that this is the only one that is in a city. I've been to the Grand Canyon, but I never like went down in it. I just like overlooked it. Definitely not as hot here. I didn't wear sunscreen on my arms, which is bad. But yeah, let's go to the coolest pit first. I've always wanted to go fossil hunting. Oh look, she was saying they found that whole thing over there because they were trying to dig a parking lot. And actually, because of what she said about all the red tape and how it kind of like makes construction people like spend millions more dollars than they planned, and you know everyone cares about is money, so what they do is they just throw them away. I know she said they have like surveyors of like fossils and shit, but when they can get away with it, or like if the people aren't there, they basically throw the fossils away because they don't want to spend millions of dollars reporting it. Well, now you will.
It's kind of cool.
I think I was trying to go through that backwards again. Okay, look. When you walk in, look, treacherous goo. Fossils recovered from sticky asphalt make the La Brea tar pits world famous. Find out the real story. Okay, look. Oh my god. This is amazing. What the fuck? Yo, what the fuck? Oh my god, hold on. Look. That's really cool. Those are real bones sticking out of tar. Do you see that? That is the coolest thing in the world. See how black it is? And then look, you can see there. So they have to carefully get that out somehow. See if we can find them. Okay, so the blue one is right there. That is a ground sloth. It's pelvis. saber-tooth cat's shoulder blade, and then the orange one is a western horse's leg bone. See how they're all like jumbled up, mixed together? Where's the other one? The wolf one. Oh, the wolf one is over here. Look. That little lighter orange one is a dire wolf's shoulder blade. This is really neat though. I'm gonna try to take a picture. Oh, my other phone is full. I guess I could take one. Basically, I was reading and it said that like asphalt is like she said it's like not hot naturally. We steam it. Like, have you ever seen them paving a road? What it looks like? It's a steamroller, and then they're pouring out the asphalt, the tar, and I think it's mixed with gravel. And then you basically like it gets cool, and then it gets hard, and then you can walk on it, right? It's fine. Okay, so that's how it like is. It's just that the ones in the water are wet, and so they're not hard because they're wet. They found here saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, coyotes, ancient horses, ancient bison, horses, ground sloths, giant jaguars, short-faced bears, yesterday's camels, and mastodons, which are the coolest ones, obviously. Because it's like Ice Age related, I'm guessing they don't have dinosaurs because that happened after the dinosaurs, right? That's not one of my special interests, so I don't know, but I think so. I think the dinosaurs were already extinct because there are no dinosaurs in Ice Age the movie, and that's why I know that. There are woolly mammoths though. I think we could clone a woolly mammoth, don't you? They probably already did. People be doing the most. Let's go find the cone. I like this place because they had free postcards. You know, I'm sure that archaeologists come in all shapes and sizes, and I don't even know if she's an archaeologist or an archaeology student, but if I had to draw one, I would have drawn her. She just looks like she studies fossils. I don't know why. Like, she looks like Eliza Thornberry. Not really, but here's the hole. This is what you see. The black cone covered in tar, and then people stick sticks in it, so obviously we're gonna poke the stick. The stick is actually stuck. I'm pulling with all of my strength. Oh, and I got it out, but I'm gonna use a telephoto. Hold on, so I can zoom in. See? Doesn't that look like what they put on the roads?
You can look at the tar right here. You can look at pit 3 and 4. And look over here as well.
This is so fun. But if you got stuck in that, I 100% think that you would die. Like, you're not gonna get out. You remember when they used to tell us on the Animal Planet, like, to get out of quicksand, you just need to be calm and like slowly wiggle yourself out. I don't know. Okay, that wouldn't work here. You would just die, I promise. Wait, here's another one without a stick sticking out of it. Wow, isn't it crazy that that's inside of our planet and that's where it comes from? we're gonna go into the museum now. Like I said, today is gonna be a short stream because we went hard for real. And then tomorrow, SuperCon. No, wait. Tomorrow I'm traveling back. I won't be able to make SuperCon because it's a very long flight and the time difference means I'll be getting home very late, so I won't be able to go, unfortunately. But I guess it's good that I take a break or something because I've been streaming like all week. Dinos were millions of years ago, yeah. But the last ice age was only a few thousand years ago. Yeah. That's wild. Can you imagine? I would have died, for sure. It's crazy how humans, like, have survived through all these things, because there were humans in the ice age where they're not. Like, not human beings, were like some kind of humanoid. I am only saying that because of Ice Age. I remember there were the hunters. At some point in an Ice Age, I think people-like beings existed. If you have kids, or if you're just like a nerd, or if you have pets, or if you have anything going on at all in our life, you should come here because it was only $18. Oh, look at what happened here. So it's like a little isolated one. But then if you look here, wait, I can't see, too sunny. Oh yeah, if you look here, you can see that it's seeped out and hardened. Some of it is still wet right there, but the rest got hard. I'm gonna take a picture for my story. And there's people walking. This place gets kind of busy later on. I should have taken the picture when nobody was here. Technically, we're still in an ice age. Could have fooled me, buddy. Could have fooled me. Nice. And we'll do a sideways one. Nice. Okay. So we still have enough memory to be able to take some pictures. And they give you a little wristband so you can come back inside. And when you come in, there's a little gift shop over there. They have this way. So it starts to your left, apparently, according to her. But then if you go this way, you can see. I think our tripod is suffering fix it because I think it's dying. It has been having problems charging for some reason. I don't know why. Oh yeah, I think it died. Oh my god. Dude, what is wrong with this thing? Why won't it charge? I've plugged it in. Dude, what is wrong with this thing? Why won't it charge? I've plugged it in. I've turned it on. But I don't think it's, I don't know. It wasn't charging in the house either. Yeah, I guess I'll just have to hold it like I've been doing. Womp womp. I think the polar ice caps are remnants of the most recent ice age. The planet is still exiting that ice age, so when they're gone, we'll no longer be in an ice age. Also, global warming is just normal. It's just a thing that was supposed to happen all along.
Oh yeah, they did it there and then they carried it away.
Oh yeah, so she was like,
I had. It flipped the big Oh,
At least it stayed alive for the presentation. That would have been annoying to hold my phone for. My phone is once again also very hot. So, if it overheats again, oh, am I upside down now? Wait. Okay. Is everything okay? Is the audio synced? Global warming or climate change is a natural part of the Earth cycle. We're just speeding it up. Yes, we are. I think I want to end and restart, so come back because I'm worried that all that made the audio glitch. So hold on, be back in like a second. I think it's working. All signs go good. Yeah. So this is a American mastodon. The American mastodon became extinct about 10,000 years ago. They look similar to mammoths, which you can see nearby, but were separated by 25 million years of evolution and show key differences, especially in their teeth. While mammoths had relatively flat teeth, which were good for grinding grass, their main food source, the much smaller mastodons had more pointed teeth, perfect for diet of twigs and leaves. Very interesting. So you can see the difference. See the little teeth versus the big teeth. This one, this big. Oh, this is what people were talking about, pulling the tar. This is a mastodon. 2 to 10 million years ago. It's very big. I am very small compared to this animal. It could definitely kill me if it wanted to. So you pull the little one, and then you try and pull the big one out of the tar. Look.
I'm struggling a little.
Pull on it and then.
That one's easier. Try this one.
Yeah, if I was that bigger piston, I'd be dead. I would not survive. Ooh, we can press a button. We love pressing buttons. 3 minutes.
We usually think of mammoths as roaming in huge herds across vast open wastes, but some of them lived in the most restricted environments of all, islands. There, over tens of thousands of years, the process of evolution helped these giants to survive by shrinking them. How did they get to islands in the first place? Some just swam if the islands weren't too far away. Climate played a role too. During ice ages, sea levels dropped as more water was taken up in glaciers. That exposed the seafloor around some islands, so mammoths could just walk across. But unfortunately, when water levels rose again, the mammoths were sometimes stranded on their islands and cut off from their original herds. Over time, animals in the isolated populations became smaller. Why? When you're small, you need less food to survive, which is helpful in places where the food supply is limited. Being smaller also makes you nimbler, good for climbing steep slopes to find food. Finally, being big helps you fight off predators, but most islands don't have large predators. So, with no need to be big, island mammoths, through the process of evolution, shrank. And mammoths weren't the only ones. Other proboscideans, such as pygmy elephants in the Mediterranean islands, pygmy stegodons in Indonesia, and pygmy Asian elephants in Borneo
I
today,
love elephants.
all
They're
shrank
so
when
cute.
isolated
They're too
on
special.
islands.
We don't deserve
In
them.
fact, many kinds of animals all over the world have distinct species that resulted from this island dwarfism. And so, the great big powerful mammoth provides
Are those your
us
favorite
with a small
dinosaurs?
but mighty example
Well,
in
not the
pygmy
mastodon,
mammoth
but, you
of
know.
how species adapt to changing environments through the process of evolution.
Wow. So cute. My phone is so hot, it's burning my fingers. It's not even hot in here. Whoa, this is a regular elephant. Pygmy, oh no, it's not. This is a pygmy mammoth, which means tiny elephant. Pygmy mammoths lived on the islands of Santa Rosa, San Miguel, and Santa Cruz off the coast of Southern California. These small mammoths descended from a larger Columbian mammoths of the mainland 100 to 10,000 years ago. Not all mammoths were gigantic. In fact, the pygmy mammoth of California's Channel Islands was only about the size of a large horse. The pygmy mammoth was separated by species from the woolly mammoth or Columbian mammoth, and it was especially adapted to island life. On islands, smaller mammoths had the advantage they ate less food and were more agile, navigating hillier terrain more easily than their massive mainland cousins. Did we go offline for a second? Oh, are you serious? Is this their jaws? Look at their teeth. Their teeth are flat. Look at that. Wait, is that their tusks that they cut off? Oh, that's their tusks. Which are teeth, but yeah. Interesting. Oh, look at this. This is a lion? A mountain lion? This is a sloth. Look at the fingers. Their fingers are like curled. Look at that. This small ground sloth has a tubular shaped snout and fewer teeth than the larger sloth. The structure of its teeth suggests that it was a browser feeding on leaves or shrubs or low-hanging tree branches. Fossil dung found in Arizona and Nevada supports this view. Wow, that's a big sloth. Ooh, I think this is real. Look how wild that looks. Look at all those little toes. The matrix of the bone poking through. I'm just like shocked. Like you can see so much detail. When you go to the butt. So this says Columbian mammoth. The trumpeting of Columbian mammoths once echoed from Canada to Central America. During the Ice Age, they were the most common mammoth species in North America. At around 12 feet tall and weighing more than 17,000 pounds, the specimen would have been an average-sized animal. They could be more than 13 feet tall. This is average? Oh my god, it's so huge. Broad-ridged molars allowing mammoths like cows and horses to graze on grasses, sedges, and other tough plants. Let me do the widest camera. Whoa. Yep, that's it. Look at this. Oh, they changed it. Hold on. I'm gonna start the video over. No, start it over. Okay, it's gonna start over. Look at this mural. That's very cool. Okay, now we're gonna start it again. I'm waiting for them to show the like mummied baby elephant that they found. They recently found like a perfectly preserved mammoth, didn't they? It was frozen, but it was like perfect. Like it had hair and everything, like if nothing happened to it. Mass graves. Oh yeah, they do that. They would go to a graveyard to like die. I should have probably drank water today. I have not hydrated. There it is. That's not the one I was talking about, but it's the one I saw in the video that made me want to watch it. Yeah, guys, drink water. Don't be like me. Look, poop. Oh my god, there's so much more. I didn't know it was that big. Look at these. This is a condor. A condor? It's extinct now. This one is a woodward eagle. This one is a occidental vulture. These are all extinct. They're dead. They're gone. They're gone. Look. Fragile eagle. Small, extinct. Look at its neck, how they posed it. Isn't that wild? I'm gonna try to zoom in. Whoa. Look at its body. Ooh, look at that wingspan. That is an errant eagle. And this is some kind of stork, Brea stork. Very tall. Look at the feet. Oh my god, this is so crazy. This is a Miriam's giant condor. Extinct. That's the one from like Looney Tunes. He sings a song, I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee. Because he didn't like to hunt or like get dead prey. And his parents were like, you're so lazy. So he went out and brought back a bee because that's all he could manage to get. This one says Grinnell eagle. Also extinct. And this one says neophron. I've never heard that word before, but he looks funny because he's white and has a little yellow face. This one also has a really big wingspan. Another condor. They posed it like that with the wings open. But it is impressively large. Oh, this one's a turkey. California turkey. This is not, wait, many bones of the, oh my god, it's an extinct turkey. This one is a Brea cara. He's just a little guy. Very small little dude. You mean I haven't drank water today? I guess it's fine. Hard to find the water you like. No, I found like I'll drink Dasani or whatever. I don't care. Like, but I just didn't. I just left because I was rushing over here. But I have not drank water today. Oh no. Oh, here's a giant sloth, right? Oh. So this is how they'd get the birds. The thing would die and then the birds would come and get stuck trying to eat it. The bear is like overlooking all this chaos, like, huh? Look at the baby. Yo, no cap. Baby birds are so ugly. These are wolves. No, I didn't. It was too early. I just woke up and I have a schedule for myself, and if I don't wake up early enough, then only eating and water sacrificed. But I was determined to record this because I don't know when I'm gonna be able to come back. I probably won't come back for years, so it was very important for me to get this on camera. Because last time I came, I only went outside. Whatever. I'll be fine. I ate last night. You guys ate with me. This is a American lion. They use this for fossil comparisons. Is that a real lion? That's really big. Lions are that big? This is not extinct. This is literally just a lion. Hell no. That's way too big. Oh, they're comparing it to this extinct one.
Like tribes of lions. They work together, hunt together.
This is a saber-toothed cat, and they would compare it to the lion. This research facility where people are literally brushing Are you serious? Dude, look, they're working on this. They are actually working on this. And they're sitting there brushing the stuff. Imagine your office is just under constant observation. It takes a microscope and a lot of patience to sort tiny microfossils out of the matrix that surround another fossil. Check out what we have found so far. This looks like college student A+ honor roll handwriting. We are sorting microfossils. These are the keys to understanding the Ice Age environment. Many of these fossils are life forms that still exist today. Look, tiny bones, teeth, insect fossils. They have a little insect leg. Are you seeing that? Oh my god. Maybe telephoto is too strong. Legs and shells, plants, and shells. Did you know Harlan's ground sloths had small nodules of bones embedded in their skin called dermal ossicles or osteoderms? These remarkable skin bones protected these slow-moving animals like built-in armor. That osteoderms that we found right here at the La Brea tar pits. Yep, they're real. There are so many of them. And these are pictures of fossilized ground sloth skin from a cave in Chile with osteoderms. So that's in their skin. These little things are in their skin. And it's like armor. This is the last known Harlan's ground sloth in North America. Because I guess it dates the most recent. 13,806 years old.
This is a puppet of P22.
It's a tibia bone of a juvenile ground sloth, last known in North America, that roamed around LA. A puppet of P22, most famous mountain lion. Oh my god. Look how much bigger it is than a cat. But yeah, this is them. They're working. They are literally cleaning. She's cleaning a bone over there. That's so cool. So she dips the brush and then takes the excess off and then just keeps working at it. You have to be like really detailed. But then over here they have other bones. Beat 72 is an archival glue that helps to repair and stabilize fragile fossils so they stay in great condition. Look at them. Look at their tools. Very neat. I could do that all day. I think I'd be good at this. Oh, carbon dating. This is how carbon dating works. Radiocarbon dating. At this moment, as in the past, relatively constant amounts of radioactive carbon, or C14, is formed in the upper atmosphere by cosmic rays, bombardment of nitrogen and 14. As the carbon-14 spreads through the atmosphere, it combines with oxygen, forming carbon dioxide, CO2, which is eventually absorbed by plants. Plant eaters ingest the carbon-14 and is eventually passed up the food chain into the carnivores, where they die. When they die, no new carbon-14 is added to their tissues, and the carbon-14 present gradually changes back to nitrogen at a fixed rate. Therefore, the amount of carbon-14 relative to normal carbon tells scientists how long ago an organism died. After 5,730 years, only 1/2 of the original carbon is present, and after about 45,000 years. Those La Brea fossils you see here were all dated at UCLA. So the students did this. Their research facility that is funded by the school tuition and stuff. This is the scale. Here, I'll do like this. So that's how they can tell how long ago it died. And this is where they keep them. That's what the clumps of bones look like. Oh my goodness. It's just all jumbled up in there. What's this? Oh my god, that's a tusk. Oh look, this is what the panthers look like? No, the sloth. Oh my god, it's getting eaten. No. They would get eaten by these saber tooths. No, they're so cute. They could all kill me. This is a bear, a short-faced bear. See, its face is shorter than the actual normal bear. This looks like a horse. This is a horse. But it's an extinct horse. Okay, no, chill. If that's the size of the actual bear, like, no. Yeah, and in the middle, they have, like, this, like, plant, look like a greenhouse. So we're gonna go into the greenhouse now. There's a, but I don't know if I'm gonna go in there. Oh, this is a block of bones from Pit 81. This block of asphalt containing fossil bones was removed from one of the smallest pits in 1914 and transported 7 miles to the Museum of Natural History and Exposition Park. It shows the amazing density of specimens found in excavations. Above is a slice through the block as it might appear if the asphalt matrix were clear. So it would look like this, but this is what we see. So this is what they find when they're doing construction, and then they're like, oh shit, we gotta get rid of this so that we don't pay an extra $2 billion. Wait. Be careful. Oh, they have a lot of fruit trees. That looks like a star fruit tree over there. This looks like mamey, not mamey, papaya. Remember Littlefoot with the star leaf at the end of the movie where he tries to give it to the little T-Rex? But yeah. And then it's open above. You can walk up there too. Overall, this is a pretty cute place. So now we can go look in the gift shop. Oops, I almost slipped. I guess I didn't pay attention to the caution cone. But yeah, I'm glad I woke up early. It took a lot out of me. I am so tired. But I'm excited to go home and sleep for like the entire plane ride and then sleep when I get home. Thankfully, I didn't leave a mess when I packed. I put everything away because I said, like, I was having trouble putting my clothes together. Like, I didn't know what outfit I wanted to do. But then I just was like, no, don't leave your stuff thrown everywhere because then when you get home, you're going to be upset about it. So I just put it away. Have you ever had these? I don't think I could bring myself to do it. Sour cream and onion. Ew, like bacon and cheese. Oh look, I need that. We're gonna get some of that. They have magnets and your typical like museum stuff. I already got the postcards because they have them at the front. So yeah, really recommend bringing kids here. I think they'd be very entertained. Very stimulating. Okay, well, I'm gonna, oh my god, look how cute. I am going to sign off now and drink some water and then take care of a couple things. But if I end up going to the Super Milk Chan pop-up in Little Tokyo, I will go live again just to show you because that's really cool. I also love museums. I'm glad you love it because I thought that the content could be kind of boring, but I like going there because there's a bunch of things to read. And like last night I started looking up everything about asphalt and tar, and like it was a whole deep dive. Like my brain just goes like but it's really cool. And I will continue to make museum content and hopefully make them more in depth. Like when I'm not super tired, I'll read more things. But yeah, I will maybe go live later, maybe not, but if I do, I'll post it in the Discord. So thank you for hanging out with me this morning, Tommy. I hope you get some sleep if you haven't already. I know, I really want to go. It's just kind of out of the way. That's the only thing. But anyway, I'll see you later, maybe. Bye.